Well, hi. Today I'd like to impress upon the listeners the importance of having your value system rooted in something absolute. And this is especially important if you intend to be a good leader. And the Bible is full of stories of kings and prophets and good people, some evil people that aspired to leadership positions, and some of them even attained solid leadership positions, as in that of a king, which is more like the chief of a tribe actually in those days. But even as the leader, the appointed leader, those who succeeded in producing good outputs of their time in that leadership role, they had to do so from a position of strong underlying value systems. And the Bible has a lot to say about that. So I'd like to take a reading today. It's from 2 Chronicles chapter 22. It's just the first 9 verses, but I'll summarize them so we won't have to read them together here. You can read them in your own time. 2 Chronicles 22, verse 1 to 9. And it's all about the impact that a godless character can have on leaders and nations. And so we find this out through the life of a king. In this case, the king's name is Ahaziah. And this young king and several of his political and military leaders lost their lives and their positions through a self-centered pursuit of power. So they neglected to remember the truth that a leader must serve the people, and a leader must also strive towards the purpose for which they are placed in that position of authority or responsibility, or let's just say leadership. They are not given that position in order to be proud or to better themselves or to enlarge their social status or their income or their wealth or to improve their own standard of living. First and foremost, they are servants of the people that they are given to lead. And this is the biblical idea which appears throughout Scripture. And it finds special emphasis in the New Testament Gospels through the teaching of Jesus. And so we might now just relate this to the modern day thoughts of Greenleaf about servant leadership. Have you ever thought that the leader has a primary responsibility to serve the people that they lead? Not so much to sit on top of the pyramid, but perhaps at the bottom, to be supportive of the efforts of others and to coordinate those and lead them towards a common goal. And what the leader mostly has to do in that situation is to always be reminded and to remind others of the core values on which form the foundation of whatever they're trying to achieve. And they say you can't fight against thunder. You can't spit into the wind. So a leader who does something that's against the moral principles of the time or against the values of the time and the people, or against the moral instincts of the people, but certainly if it's against the will of God, if it's against the absolute requirements that give you that privilege of being a leader, you might succeed for a short period of time, only in your own ego, but you won't succeed in serving the people and in serving the purpose for which you were appointed as a leader. So there's a difference between the human concept of leadership, what we learn in the management textbooks, which as a professor of leadership I'm very familiar with, and the principles on which a godly leader bases their whole orientation. For one example, in the human economy, pursuit of power and prestige for the leader is quite an important aspect of being in a leadership role. In God's economy, we pursue love and service to others. There's a difference. Power and prestige on the one hand, love and serving others on the other hand. The second element is about wealth and status. In the human economy, the leader is seeking their own wealth and their own status. It's all about their positional power. But in God's economy, it's about improving the welfare of the people. And the third aspect is how you see others. In the human economy, the leader is often at odds with others, often seeing others as enemies or competitors. In God's economy, the others are seen as important for the sense of wholeness and collaboration and complementariness. We all complement each other. You know, if we took all the good, the best and good points of every person that is essentially a good person on the earth and put them all together, we might start to see something that resembles God's goodness, but still far from it. You know, and we constantly have to do what is good and not go to our carnal instincts and do bad things. The fourth difference between the human economy and God's economy is motive. What is your motive as a leader? Is it to quash all competition and to be the strongest and most powerful? Is it to divide and rule? Or is it to meet the needs of the people that you are privileged to be leading and to grow all of them so that together we can contribute much more to the cause, to the noble cause for which we strive in this transitory life? I'd just like to draw attention to a fifth difference between the human economy and God's economy, which is the result of all of this. In the human economy, the leader is glorified. The leader becomes someone that is auspicious, that is praised, that harnesses recognition, and there's a constant craving for that validation amongst some leaders. But in God's economy, the result is that God is glorified through the things that are accomplished and through this service ethic and through the love that is generated and through people working together for good purpose. Thank you for listening today. I hope that it makes sense.